How do? I'm Annie Coe. I work down at the mill in the spinning sheds. I get up every day at 5:30 in the morning, so I beg your pardon if I look a bit fatigued. It's not too early a start. Not really for those of us who don't mind hard work. You see, it's the knocker-upper who tells us when it's time to get up out of our beds. You hear him tapping at the window, cheaper than a clock. My sister Nancy, who sleeps in the same bed as me, is not the best first thing. Ma and Pa have the other bed, and they'll be up as well. Sometimes Pa is up earlier to go in. Once we're up, and once I've kept an eye on Nancy, who's prone to falling back asleep, we'll get washed and dressed. That leaves half an hour for that at most. Now, we only live a few streets over from the mill, so we're quite close, but you have to keep an eye and make sure you're not late. Because if you are, you can get fined or locked out. Last thing before I leave is I wrap some bread and a paper twist of tea leaves into a piece of cloth for breakfast. Then we're off. The streets are always crowded first thing in the morning with folk going to work. There are hundreds of mills in Bolton. Spinning, weaving, dyeing, bleaching. They say cotton is king here. If there's time, and if it's cold, and I have a spare halfpenny in the pocket of my apron, I'll buy a hot coffee or a chocolate for Nance and myself to share together. You don't want to be late, mind. You need to keep to time, because when that bell rings here at the mill, it means you've got 5 minutes to be through those gates. Ma works over there, in the weaving shed. Nance and me are in the spinning shed. Pa works in the engine room, hauling coals. He used to work in the weaving shed with Ma, but he got hurt in an accident. There'll already be great clouds of smoke coming from those chimneys. That means Mr. Armstrong, the engineer, has got the boilers fired up, the engine ready and working, and the steam is available to power the machines. They are powered off the steam engine by a series of belts that go around flywheels. That keeps everything going, but it is loud as you can believe. You can barely hear yourself think, let alone someone scream. You have to learn how to read lips with that great clattering racket around you. And it's warm work. The windows in the mill are there to let light in, not air. The cotton needs a warm, damp shed to spin the cotton into threads to stop it breaking. Still does, mind you. It's more comfortable to work barefoot. And it saves you wear on your clogs. Mind you, there's no chairs or anywhere to sit down, and the overlooker has eyes like a hawk, so you're on your feet all day. I work 2 spinning mules, so I walk back and forth all day long. Someone once said in a day we walk 20 miles. You have to keep your wits about you in the spinning shed. It's noisy, and there is no chance of a warning if something is to go wrong. The mules, the machines that I work with, they spin the cotton fibres into threads, and they're made up of lots of different moving parts, gears and chains and cogs and the like. Some of them are sharp, and some of them move fast. You have to be very careful. We have a brush to keep them free of obstruction, mostly from cotton dust. Most of the time though, you're just looking out for a broken thread to fix. As a knack you learn to grabbing broken ends and twisting them together so they can go onto the bobbin. My little sister Nancy works as one of my piecers, as does a young lad called Ted. They mostly work to fix the broken threads, and Ted will sometimes sweep underneath the mule as and when it needs it. When the cotton has filled the bobbins, the overlooker will stop the mule. Then a doffer will come with an empty bobbin, take it and swap it with the bobbin that's full. At 8:30 we have our breakfast. Bread, and if you want it, tea, which you normally do on account of the dust. Mrs. Armstrong, the engineer's wife, will provide hot water from the boiler for 2pence a week. They say she makes a fortune. There's half hour for us to take, but time flies faster than a flywheel. And it's not long before we're back at it, in the sheds. Then we work on until 1 o'clock. Lunchtime. For lunch, I might go home with Nance and make something. Or we might bring in a bit of bacon and ask if Mrs. Armstrong will fry it up with some mashed potato. Or we'll go out and get a hot pie. If the weather's nice, we might stand outside the mill gates. We might see Ma. But then it's back to it until 5:30. I keep an eye on Nance towards the end of the day to make sure she's not dropping off. It's then that the accidents tend to happen, at the end of the working day, an 11.5-hour day. It's not as bad now as it was in my pa and grandpa's time. The stories they tell about the old days. You'd never sleep soundly again. It's still a long day in a deafening shed with dangerous machines and the air thick with dust. But it could be much worse. Besides, at least we have the work. On a Monday, I look forward to Saturday. Finish at 2:30 and an evening of entertainment. We get our wages paid on a Friday, with money taken back for any fines or rent, or anything we've purchased from the Tommy shop. That's the mill's own private store. When we get back home, we might light a fire in the fireplace, and Ma might cook if she's not too tired. Nance and I otherwise might cook some potatoes in their jackets, or gruel. Then it's bedtime and same again the next day.